Welcome to the Conquer Food podcast with Craig and Paula Williams, where we share tips, tricks and strategies from the coalface of the weight loss industry in the UK. We're going to help you to think, eat and move better. Ultimately, we're going to help you finally gain control and conquer food. Right, welcome to another episode of the Conquer Food Show. I got two amazing guests. We've got the Jedi back, and we've got Georgia back.
Hiya. Hello.
So, how's it going? The last couple of days,
Good.
what have you been up to in quarantine time?
Enjoying the sun. We've been living our best quarantine lives.
Yeah. The weather is just incredible, isn't it, at the minute? It's just like, still frosty mornings, which I like.
But it's just nice and warm. There's a little breeze, but...
You definitely feel better when you've got a bit of sunshine.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's almost as if...
Yoga on the lawn.
It's almost as if the universe knows we needed something and went, you know what, cheer him up, get some sun. There you go. It's been great. We've been on nice walks.
This lockdown would have definitely been different if it had been like pissing it down.
It'd
like it was for the
Netflix
start.
marathon.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't leave the house. Okay, so here we are for another Quarantine Daily podcast. We've got a couple of questions that we're going to dive into, which I won't spoil the excitement. We're going to answer them. We're going to be going for about 35 minutes perhaps. And then this is the final one for the end of this week. Then we're going to have a little bit of a break over the weekend. And then the Quarantine Daily podcast is back on Monday. So let's get into it. So the question that I've got today from Jessie, basically all she says is lose my tummy, you know, and I think this is something that, you know, if people could have a little magic wand and say, right, okay, what do you want to happen in your
epic.
fitness? Yeah, you'd be like, I want to lose my tummy or my thighs or my bingo wing. You know, everyone's got a body part which they don't
Just
really
point at it
like.
and go, that's where it's going. It's leaving there.
Yeah. So what's your take on that? I mean, you must have come across this in your own experience, but also at camp as well.
I mean, the basic fact is bodies don't work like that.
No, but it would be amazing if it
It
did.
would be amazing if you could redistribute the bits of your body that you wanted to be bigger or smaller around your body and be like, that could be a bit bigger, that can be a bit smaller. Let's shift that around to the back there, move that up to the top. But it doesn't work like that.
It is a really common conversation at camp. They're like, I just want it off here, like your butt or your back. And you're like, I'll have the fat from your butt on my boobs and you can have the fat from my legs.
Just distribute it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is, in the sort of fitness industry, there is, when you really get into like elite level, when you've got someone who's incredibly lean, like, you know, 10% body fat, something like that, there is, body fat will store in accordance with hormone levels, right? So if your insulin is high, you'll tend to develop like love handles and store around your waist and your stomach. If your cortisol's high, it will sit on your stomach. Oh no, insulin is shoulder blades. So if you've got like
Get fat on your shoulder blades?
Yeah, if you've got, like, but the thing is with that, you know, and often we chase that, and but that's like an elite level, you know, like a really sort of fit level. If we've got someone who's kind of overweight, even myself, you know, I'm carrying probably a stone and a half more than really I should be doing. You can, instead of trying to work out what is wrong, I can guess that my insulin is slightly elevated, my cortisol is slightly elevated. You know, all these things are elevated by proxy. You know, it's not until you start getting to the elite levels that really changes. So which is quite interesting. The other thing as well is that when I was doing lots of personal training, I'd get this a lot. People saying, I want to lose my tummy. And I did used to focus on cortisol a lot. What I also focus on, you know, sleep. There's three things that I kind of got people to work on. One was sleep, you know, sort your sleep out, get your sleep sorted because that's going to help balance your cortisol and all that. Yeah. Everything.
Everything.
And as well as that, sugar cravings is going to help with that. You know, snacking, willpower, all those things, you know, sleep is going to really help. The next thing was fruit. What I find is that lots of people, in an effort to lose weight, they'll swap out their sweet treats for fruit. And that's a great first step, but it's, you know, it's not a long-term solution. But you need to be finding something other than fruit. So for example, you know, like strips of pepper rather than rather than grapes and apple, because they've all got natural sugars in
Yeah,
there.
but I guess as you cut down on sugar, so things naturally become sweeter again. So if you were to say to somebody first off who's eating loads of sugar right now, here, have a red pepper, they're probably gonna be like, first off,
That's not sweet.
No thanks.
Compare it to my selection box.
Yeah,
No.
compared with a bag of Haribo, that's not gonna taste the same. But give it a few weeks,
time,
and actually it'll be delicious and sweet, and you'll be almost like this sweet potato is now too sweet to eat as a savoury item. It's out, which I think we had a discussion, me and George had a discussion recently. We're like, I can't deal with sweet potato anymore as a savoury thing. It's not savoury. Why we're pretending it is?
Well, have you seen it?
But that's just maybe our preference. But
when you bake a sweet potato, it's in the syrup that just drips out of it, and yet it is nutritionally, it is a better vegetable than potato, because there's just apart from starchy carbohydrates, there's not a lot in a spud. Right, but nutritionally, there's more. There's more nutrients and stuff in a sweet potato. But by God, you've only got to bake it and see that syrup just ooze out of it.
I really want a sweet potato.
Sorry, Georgia.
With tuna.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Tuna, sweet potato.
The other thing. So I said three things. The other thing. So I talked about sleep. I'd focus on their sleep. I would focus on their refined sugar, and I would really look at their fruit. Sorry, and I really look at their alcohol intake.
Yeah.
All those things will tend to sit on the stomach a little bit, cause body fat on the stomach. But other than that,
I guess I presume I've always been told it's one of the last places to shift.
Yeah, it can be. I think it depends. Everybody will have an area of their body where they put weight on first. Me, it's my love handles. You know what I mean? Every time. I know I'm getting chubby.
Is
when
that
I'm
just genetics that does that? I mean, as we say, you can't pick and choose, but I wonder what causes that.
Yeah, it's probably. I'm just going to throw out some random statistics that I'm going to make
Go for it.
just to paint the picture. It's
Okay.
probably 90% genetics and 10% hormones, and
Okay.
So. Yeah. Genetics, it will sit somewhere, and everyone will have that place where they just notice it first. For some people, it's the waist. Some people, it's the butt, the thighs.
Chin.
It's my love handles. Chin, yeah. Face is a classic. And here's the shitty thing: the first place you put it on is usually the last place you lose it. So yeah. And the other thing that happens as well. Who's experienced this? When you start to lose weight and the other bits start to thin down. It makes, like for me, when I start to thin down, it makes my love handles look bigger.
huge, yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I'm trying to lose weight. It just doesn't get any better. And, and it's just because everything else looks thinner. But stay with it, stay with it and change.
Keep cracking on.
Yeah, just keep pushing on with that. And that really is the case, A lot of things that people say, I just want to tone up. I want to lose weight. I want to, in essence, what we're talking about is losing body fat. That's what it is. When people sort of say, I want to tone up, it's just about reducing that layer of body fat, subcutaneous fat we call it, that's over the muscles.
But I can't remember the name of the lady who put that question in, but if she's already lost 10 on her own.
Oh, no, that's the next question. Yeah. You're ahead of the time, ahead of the game there, Nick. But,
my God.
So should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
So that was the first one. The next one then is, I won't say a name because it talks about medical history, but I've recently had some medical exploratory procedures and now feeling a lot better, which is good news. As a result, I haven't done much exercise and I'm not as fit as I should be. I need to pass the police bleep test. So any help with fitness would be great. Or fitness, core strength and toning would be great. I've lost 10 pounds without dieting, but happy to lose another 7 pounds.
What should be?
Yeah, that's I picked up on that as well. So, what do you mean?
I guess everyone has an idea of what they'd like to be and they compare it against everyone else. But there's no ideal fitness, is there? For you specifically.
Yeah, well, and the other thing as well is
Specifically.
what you should be. Well,
It depends what you're basing on. So obviously she's done really well to lose the 10 on her own, which is what
That's
was
incredible.
jumping out to say previously. So is on the right track and kind of needs to keep on it if that's what she wants. But I guess it comes down to what people's should be. are you basing that on one of these medical models, which we know
well,
there are
she's
lots of
also
different
just
issues
come out
with?
of a medical. She's just had medical stuff done. She's got to give herself a break.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that everyone's idea of what they should be, obviously that's a personal thing. So is it that you're basing it on BMI, which obviously lots of us know is kind of nonsense?
Or how fit you used to be.
Yeah, how fit you used to be, but then also is that how fit you used to be 30 years ago, how fit you used to be when you were a semi-professional athlete? Is it that actually it's before you had whatever the medical stuff has been, your clothes are still feeling a wee bit snug? Because if it's only £7 to go, the chances are it's
she's already on the right path. Yeah. If she's already done 10, she's still cracking on. That 7's going to come off, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
we're
amazing, aren't we? Comparing.
Yeah,
we love a compare.
Whenever someone sort of says, "I should be," "I could be," it really does.
Why aren't I like that?
Yeah, it just suggests that they're comparing.
Inadequate.
Yeah, and actually that is the root of a lot of anxiety and frustration is this comparison. And before we came on air, I read out this question, and Nick, straight away you said, well, should be according to who? According to what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the thing is, as long as it's according to you as a person who sat down and gone, this is how fit I want to be, not because someone else has told me I should be, not because of, reasons of comparison, but because I want to be able to, whatever it is, run a certain distance in a certain time, or I want to be able to fit back into that pair of jeans that I'd bought just before all these medical things came up, then that's fine, but don't put pressure on yourself, I think is what we're all saying, because some other whoever is telling you that you need to be a certain way, look a certain way, as long as whoever's put the question in is kind of go, no, this is my goal and I've thought it through and I'll be happy when I've achieved that, or it's a mini goal before the next bit. But it's where the source of that, this is why I'm doing it, is coming from. Because obviously we have lots of people at camp and lots of people who have now joined our virtual boot camp who want to lose weight or get fitter because that's what they want to do, because sometimes they need to because they know they're overweight and unfit. Other people it's to maintain it. Other people it's because they've got a particular goal in mind. But I think for me, it's where is that goal coming from? Is it from a good place, or is it from a place of pressure and negativity, or is it something positive that you're introducing?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Okay, the next bit in regards to the bleep test and working on that bit of fitness.
Well, she sounds like she's got a sure goal that's what she wants to get to. So she sounds pretty motivated, I think.
Yeah, she's got a standard as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's measurable.
It's measurable. It's achievable. I think she's got her consistency in control.
Yeah. I mean, the thing from what I would say, and I've helped a lot of people get ready for the bleep test. And sometimes there is no better preparation for the bleep test than the bleep test. And it's horrible.
Brings back school nightmares.
Yeah. But, get it on, do it, and just do it every other day or whatever. And you'll just naturally get better at the turning part of it. You'll be able to get yourself into a rhythm and all this kind of stuff. There is a standard for you to achieve. So you can kind of, it's measurable. You can work towards it. And then, just get it done, especially something like the bleep test, because, I mean, it only takes 10 minutes or whatever. So just get amongst it, really.
Yeah. I guess the other thing, depending on what the medical examination-y things have been, and their previous fitness, they might just be a wee bit kind to themselves initially. And if you're not going at the pace you used to, or you think, oh, I should have done better again, should have done, who says you should have done. but you might just need that little bit of kindness to yourself to go, right, this is my first try, this is the score, let's see what I am next. But not kind of think, this is what I could have done this time last year before whatever medically has happened.
Oh,
just
I love
start
doing
afresh.
That's my favourite game.
I know, Georgia, but it's a silly game.
I know.
Start afresh each game, and go, this is my initial store for where I am now, clean slate, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're trying to say to everyone, really, is just, whenever we're sort of beating ourselves with shoulds, we got guilt on the end of it, and we all know what it's like to sit there guilty that we should have gone and done that bleep test, or we should have, done this, or we shouldn't have done that, you know what I mean? And we beat ourselves with guilt, and just let it go and just get on with it. Realise what the actual reality is, what's the reality. Another thing that I want to kind of talk about as well is a guy that I used to work with, a really, really good boot camp trainer. He used to have an amazing question whenever someone came out with a statement like that. And he just used to say, well, what is the thinking behind that thinking? Because, quite often we think, but we don't always think about the thinking, you know what I mean? And question the thinking, you know what I mean? If it's like, right, I've just just had an operation. I should be fitter than I am now. Well, what's the thinking behind that? You know, why are you thinking that? And it's like, you know, is it the fact that, well, 6 weeks have passed and I've done nothing? Well, yeah, you should have been off your ass by now. You know, come on, get on with it. Or is it was last week, and it was quite serious and painful, and I was full of, you know, sometimes they pump you full of gas, and I don't know what kind of it is, but you know what I mean? And it can be really uncomfortable.
Body needs to recover.
Yeah. You got to recover. So, yeah, what's the thinking behind that thinking? It's a great little
like that
thing. So that's a bit. Core strength. Any tips on core strengths that you've learned at camp?
Plank all the time.
Were you just there in a constant plank?
Yeah, just that's
our Saturday sorted. Constant plank.
If you have an annoying trainer near you that tries to knock you off, that's also very helpful.
Yeah, I think the thing with the core strength
is practice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the word core because it suggests that like there's like an area of your midsection which you can just kind of target, and that's I prefer to call it a trunk because you know the 7 major muscle groups that make up your what people call the core is in effect the trunk, and anything where you challenge that. So you know, even walking down the street with a shopping bag. And you've got a heavy shopping bag in one hand, that is working the trunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's having to act
You're gonna balance.
how it wants to act. It wants to work like a corset that pulls you in tight and gives you a platform from which to exert force, you know, whether it's running, you know, sprinting is an amazing way of working the trunk because...
I've never thought of it that way. Well, you know, I know about obviously that there's crisscrossy muscles and like you say, it's not just one bit in the middle. I'd not thought that actually, that loads of things you do.
Well, yeah,
something
you're
around
even
the house.
just standing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you lean against the wall with one hand, you will feel your trunk tighten up. You know what I mean? And that's it. If you pick up a heavy handbag, you know, I know what some of your guys' handbags are like. You know what I mean? Paula's like 10
handbag.
kilos. Yeah, and it's shaped like a bourbon biscuit. You know?
It's lovely. It's now covered in mud, thanks, this morning as well. I've had to go a different handbag for the first time in over a year after falling over this morning.
Yeah. Paula changed her handbag every 2 weeks. As well.
I can't be done with that.
I love it because I get all the loose change out the bottom.
Too heavy.
So, you know, even just picking up a heavy bag, shopping, you know, carrying a kid under your arm or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good
even
one.
If you've got a dog that's sort of straining on the lead, anything like that, that's like,
That's how I fell over this morning.
it's all challenging that core, you know, and I think a lot of people get caught up that I need to be doing all these sit-ups and, you know, and it's no wonder that we're a nation of bad backs because we do all this strengthening of muscles on the front of our body and then often very little strengthening of the muscles in the lower part of the back. And it all wants to work you know, muscles work in pairs. Think about your bicep, your tricep.
Yeah.
Think about your hamstrings, your quadriceps. Same in your trunk, you know. Yet we spend a lot of time trying to strengthen that core and all we're actually doing is weakening our back. You know, because we end up with an imbalance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think I've got an idea for a new video that we can do.
What's that? Love the excitement in your face.
I was going to say, we'll do opposites.
Yeah.
Muscle
No, you
groups.
should. I mean, you know,
Ashley.
Yeah.
when you think about like putting your training sessions together, you know, if you instead of you know, people think about exercises and you know they're like, okay, I want to do press ups, squats, and all this kind of stuff. Think about putting them together in movements. Right, so the muscles that push are opposite to the muscles that pull.
Okay.
So one day you can have all the pull exercises, right, and then you work in one group of exercises, or you can, and then next day you can do like push exercises. So thereby you're having, you know, your balance and all that kind of stuff. Or you could have half your session push, half your session pull. You know what I mean? And or you could have a set of push exercises, a set of push exercises, you know what I mean? You just alternate between the two, and then you're much more likely to have balance then.
I like that.
Because in everyday life, we do a lot of pulling. We do a lot of, you know, when we pull a bag off the floor or pick something up, we're pulling. We don't do so much pushing, especially pushing over the head.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do a lot of that, you know?
Unless
Just
you're
do that when we're
cabin
dancing
crew.
to the theme tune at the start.
Yeah, so, you know, they're definitely things to kind of, and if you're thinking about pushing and pulling rather than press-ups and sit-ups, you could just end up with smarter training and a more balanced body. So,
Top tips from Craig.
Yeah, top tips.
I love it.
So in regards to the core, stop calling it a core. Start calling it a trunk and start working it as a corset.
Bigger though,
Tree
doesn't
trunk.
it? Trunk just. I know we should just embody a tree and feel strength, but I think when you say trunk, people just go massive.
Yeah, that is true.
I have a family friend whose name is actually Trunk.
No way. No. What, his first name?
Well, no, his first name, but his is David, but he's been since like the age of 5 has been called Trunk. And that's how I know him.
It's a nickname. Trunk. That's amazing. That's up there with Chunk from the Goonies. Okay, so we talk about core strengths. Toning up. Any tips on toning up? What we're saying about toning up?
Losing body fat, innit?
Yeah. No, it is. You're right. It is exactly that. People say, "Oh, I just want to tone this part up." Well, sorry if it upsets you. That just equates to losing body fat. You know, we have these little layers of body fat which cover up the things that we want to show more of, like a bicep. Abs is a classic. You know, people
diet.
going, we've all got abs. They're all there. It's just they're covered by a subcutaneous layer of body fat. So keep going with your diet and all this toning up and all that will help.
It will come.
We got time for one more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, so next one. Richard is just saying fitness and weight loss. We're doing loads of that, so we'll move on to the next one. Right, what's this say? So this is Linda. My biggest challenge is going to be fat loss as I'm an emotional eater. There's a lot of statements there.
I feel ya.
I've gone up in weight since this virus has hit, and I'm worried I'm going to just get bigger and bigger. This would be amazing for 14 days. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, just worried that it's going to get bigger and bigger. I'm sure Nicola's going to have loads to say about this.
Yeah.
The first thing for me is, you know, we talked the other day about not wading through treacle, and it definitely reads like you're concentrating on the negative. I'm worried I'm going to get bigger and bigger. Well, guess what? You're going to get bigger and bigger.
Self-esteem prophecy.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
exactly.
That's it. You know,
self-fulfilling, not
yeah,
foreseeing.
so it definitely, you know, could become a self-fulfilling prophecy where your mind just goes, knew it, I knew it, I knew you was going to get bigger and bigger, and you have.
Yeah.
Instead of sort of thinking, you know, I'm gonna get smaller, or I'm gonna maintain weight, or whatever, because the brain is then looking for evidence to prove that. So what we're saying, Nick?
I think there is, yeah, you're right. There's a lot in there, and there's a lot about, you know, deciding you're going to put on weight before you've even been put on lockdown. You know, that's just what's going to happen because you're going to be in your house. Well, of course, if that's what you think, that is what's going to happen.
I heard an amazing quote. I'm hopefully I'm not going to butcher this, but it was. Let me get it
Take
right.
a moment.
So, until you make the unconscious conscious, life will. Oh, the shit will happen to you, and you will call it fate. So I did butcher a bit. Yeah, no, yeah. So until you make the unconscious conscious,
right,
shit will happen, and you will call it fate. Right. So what we're saying there is like you sort of think, oh no, you know, I knew it. It was fate. I piled all this weight on since the virus. Well, no, you've just been mindless eating, or you've not. You know, you've slipped into this habit. Anyway, think about it. So,
well, we'll listen back to that one. Go back to Craig. No, I think the key thing there that I think she's saying is about the emotional eating, and it's hard. I was actually thinking about this morning, which is that I think people surrounding me at the minute. Because obviously, I have created a life where I have a lot of positive people around me and choose to be around positive people. So obviously, that's really good. However, with everything that's going on at the moment, I don't believe for 1 second that all of those positive people who I know and love haven't had moments where then they've gone,
like, fuck
it, shit, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? We're very lucky where we are at the moment because I actually said to somebody yesterday, I was like, we're in the middle of nowhere pretty much. And other than obviously we don't have campers on site at the moment and there's sort of certain things we're not doing, it feels kind of normal. It's a weird normal.
Yeah, it is a weird
But actually everyone has moments where I think we need to accept that this isn't a normal situation and that being positive is very important. But if you're feeling bad about it, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling scared, you need to acknowledge those emotions and do something about them.
Like the meditation always really helps to calm my anxiety.
That's a nice example.
And then if I'm not so anxious, I won't keep going to the fridge and eating my feelings because that's what I love to do. And then you feel shit afterwards, and then it's a circle.
Yeah. Exactly. Whereas actually, if you sit down and go, I'm trying to think of something I've had recently. So, I suppose as everyone else, I've had concerns and worries, and you just have to sort of sit with them for a bit and go, okay, how am I actually feeling? Let me process my thoughts. Now, for some people, that will be, I would suggest get a pen and paper and start writing down how you're feeling. You don't need to show it to anyone. You can burn it afterwards. You can put it straight in your recycling afterwards. But just write down, how am I feeling? And be quite cathartic about it. Be honest. What is it that you're afraid is going to happen? What are you concerned about for other people? And get those emotions out. If you don't like writing stuff, some people I know would draw things. I had a session with my coach recently where just when she was talking, I just started doodling. So my coaching's done online. So she will normally say now, what have you drawn while we've been talking? And it was a day where I had a lot of stuff going on, but not really acknowledging what it was. And as we talked, I'd sort of drawn this picture, which was loads of colours, loads of things sort of flying out of a shape, which actually when then took a step back from it was quite clearly a human form with all of these colours and shapes and actually looking at it, and I kind of then thought, oh well, actually it obviously looks like that to other people, but actually then I thought what we talked about and when I'd drawn certain things when we talked, and actually I thought, oh, this is actually slightly more significant than I meant it to be. There's all sorts of things. There's meditations, and talking to people. If you've got people around you trust, talk to them. I actually spoke to my dad recently, and he was saying, he was like, oh, I've just decided I can't go out because they've recently managed to get back from New Zealand, I think on the last flight that came out of Singapore, which is lovely, but they're properly now, quarantined and can't leave. Now they finally got home, and he's like, well, we're just back and we've sorted things. And he's like, I can potter in the garden. And he said, and what I'm going to do is get my address book out. I'm going to start at the A's and I'm going to phone people that I've not spoken to for years.
Wow, yeah.
And I was like, well, do you know what? That's really good. Just catch up with people you don't normally talk to.
I'm going to tell my mum to do that.
Yeah, I spoke to one of my great aunties phoned the other day, and then I instantly felt a bit guilty I'd not phoned first. But
I love it how George said, I'm going to tell my mum to do it.
Not going to do it
myself.
Yeah, I got no interest.
My mum.
But that's the thing. I think we're in this situation where everyone, on some level, is feeling the same way. Yeah. Now, obviously, if you're already feeling emotional, if you're already feeling anxious about what's happening, don't phone someone who you know is going to be more anxious than you or on the same level as anxious as you. That's not going to help.
Phone someone.
But human nature, we're tempted to do that, aren't we? We have the old pity party.
Exactly. You want to have a pity party, you'll then both make yourself feel worse. You'll both convince yourself you should never leave the house again, that you can't even get food delivered because you'll have to leave it on your doorstep for 72 days.
And before you know it, you're on the phone, chatting, eating at the same time.
Yeah. So find people who are going to make you feel better, or message them beforehand and say, I'm feeling really anxious. And, can we have a chat? In fact, I did this with somebody possibly last week when I messaged them to say, I'm having a bit of a moment. It was, I think, one of the days some of this stuff had happened in the news, and because we were at camp, had to help a lot of other people with their emotions. So by the time I then sort of clocked off and went to bed, I was just like everything, every emotion, and didn't know where it was going. And I messaged somebody and just said, I need a reality check, and you're the person who in my life provides this. Send me something back. Which was very good. They sent me back, what I needed to hear at the time, which, that's we all have friends where they have certain roles in our life with what they bring to us. So if you need a reality check, you get your reality check friend. If you need I need to have a cry on the phone, it's the cry on the phone friend. But don't feel that you have to deal with your emotions in a way that is going to make you feel worse. You know that eating is going to make you feel worse, because then you're going to be like, oh no, I've put on all this weight. So be productive about it. Work out what your emotion is, which for some people, especially if you're not used to working with your emotions, you're going to need to take a little while to sit with it and go, right, what is going on here? Yes, I feel anxious, but where's that anxiety coming from? Is it a fear? Okay, it's a fear. What is a fear of? And track it back. And, as I say, write it out, draw it out, make a flow chart, do whatever works for you. But some people are so detached from what their emotions are and detached from putting words on what those emotions actually are, that it might take you a little bit of sitting, maybe a little bit uncomfortably sitting, to work out what actually that emotion is and where it's coming from, so you can then deal with it productively. Yeah,
you're right. It's definitely a chimp paradox thing, isn't it? Where, your strong chimp mind is acting and getting you to eat food and all that kind of stuff to make you feel better. And, we always say that fundamentally we eat to change state. We have a state in our body and we eat to change that state. And just biding a bit of time to get into a logical state of mind can make a massive difference when it comes to food choices. But it's hard sometimes. It can be hard.
And I think she should be aware that she is not the only person that is dealing with that. And it is hard. Everyone admits it. It's hard. It's just great if you can change it a little bit, not like instantly in a day and be like, I've cured it, it's a miracle. Just little tiny steps, like Nicola says. One day I'm going to deal with this bit of the day that I feel like this. It's because it's not an easy process, but acknowledging that you have that issue is great.
Yeah, and I think if you do have slip-ups, if there's a day where you do find, do you know what, actually, I've eaten half of my lock-in biscuit supply or whatever it is, don't beat yourself up over it. It happened. You know, it happened that day. Go to bed, wake up the next day. It's a brand new day. Do things differently that day. So at the moment, I'm doing something a bit differently. So I'm at the end of the day writing down what's gone well that day. You know, kind of regardless of what it is, and what could be better the next day. So you're already being positive. So you're getting your brain to be positive before you've even gone to bed, thinking that the next day is going to be that little bit better. And like Georgia says, it's little steps, and it's forgiveness if the little step is a little stumble, but you keep going.
Yeah. What other ways do you go? I mean, I have a thing like changing state. One of the things that helps me change state is either getting out and going for a run or a walk.
Getting outside, definitely.
A shower helps me. I've actually started having like a mid-afternoon granddad nap and then getting up and
love a good nap.
But I do it as if it's a brand new day. Like I get up, I get showered, you know, get dressed, and it's like it's a new day. And then I'm set then for the afternoon and the evening. You know, so what do you?
Walking the dog really helps me. Just getting out. It's a push to get out sometimes, but once I'm out, I know that I will instantly feel better. Even going into a different room with different people. So I'm quite lucky I have these guys here. I might be locked in my bedroom for a bit and then be like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then walk into a lounge and instantly, because I'm chatting and I'm not in my head, I'm in a different state. Shower as well. If ever I feel like I have wasted the day, I'll go and have a shower and I'll go and do something.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel much, much better. And our Buddhist clap.
What? What's this? This is new.
This isn't going to work particularly for a podcast.
Yeah.
So we had a system where we've got a couple of systems actually all living together to make sure that, you know, we're aware of other people's emotions and how they're feeling. And
we do live in quite close contact.
Yeah. Go on, I'm interested in that.
So the Buddhist clap, to be honest, was developed by George and Ricky, so I'll let them introduce it. I'll introduce the going for lobster system.
Paula mentioned a Buddhist clap one time about changing your state, and we kind of built on that. So it's not a real Buddhist clap, it's like a boot camp Buddhist clap.
Right.
I can't show it on this, but basically
I'm
you take...
going to film this. It's getting filmed and posted with the podcast.
But so the person that you feel needs to change their state, you have to go up to them and be like, it's Buddhist clap time.
Oh, no, hang on, start again.
Okay.
Go.
So the person who you feel needs to change their state, you go up to them and you're like, Buddhist clap. We're doing a Buddhist clap now. And you breathe in. You do a little circle with your hands. And then you breathe out and you clap. And that changes your state. But you do it all
mainly
together.
changes your state because everyone else starts pissing themselves laughing at you know.
I love it though. I love it.
It's good.
Yeah. No.
And our other system we have, if other people at home are living together and finding that not being able to leave as much as they normally are is an issue, we actually had this a couple of months. We've not had to use it yet. We have a system called I'm going full lobster, which means if anyone texts, we obviously, like the rest of the world, have a little WhatsApp group for everyone who lives together. If you text a picture of a lobster, as you know, like an emoji of a lobster, or any reference to I'm going full lobster, I've gone full crustacean, I'm thermodoring real hard right now, it means I'm not having a great day, guys. Maybe leave me alone. Or whatever people. So we then had a discussion of like, what are people's things? So if I'm not having a good day, should you leave me alone? Actually, is that when I need you the most? And we did start, although I don't think we've shared our lists yet, we did start at one point writing lists which were like, these are the 5 things. If I start doing these, I'm not doing well and I'm not telling you about it. So I think some people's included like, if I've gone to bed for an entire day, if I've...
I wonder who that is.
If I've gone for a drive saying I was off to buy milk and it's been 5 hours now. I can't remember what some of the other ones were. I think you guys were like, yours is if you've gone real quiet and not talking to us.
And put your hood up.
Oh yeah, if I wear a hood, apparently, yeah. If I'm not wearing any colours, if I'm wearing all like one dark colour, that's not good. To the point now I have to prove if I somehow do wear dark colours, I have to put a protection layer of colour underneath to be able to show people that, you know, there's a bright colour underneath my hoodie. And though I've actually lost that hoodie, so hopefully that just means, you know, it'll never be needed again.
There we go.
I know. I did try to buy a new yellow hoodie, but it turned and it had really giant arms, so I have to send it back.
Right, this has been like, well, this is certainly one of the most surreal endings ever. Going full lobster.
I'm doing real hard right now.
Right, Georgia, you've been missing the last couple of days.
I have.
So you get the honour of the closing statement. You can't just duck out for a couple of days and expect to get away with it. So what have you got for us? Last closing words for the weekend. It needs to be an amazing one.
For the weekend. Well, you've had a half a week.
Any minute now.
Okay. You've had a full week. Well, half a week of virtual boot camp. You now have Friday, Saturday, tomorrow is going to be a do-it-yourself. I'm really excited. And then Sunday is your active recovery. I want to see everyone's. I've seen a few people's, but I want more ideas, pictures. And go out there, even if it's just a little thing. I'm going to be really proud of you because so far all I've done is do yoga on a lawn and then sunbathed because I got distracted by the sun. So go out there and enjoy the weather because we can enjoy that right now. That is one thing that we can
live your best quarantine life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing. Okay, thanks again, ladies. It's been incredible, and see you on Monday for another episode of the Quarantine Daily Podcast. Take care. Oh yeah, bye. Say bye.
Bye.